Hi, and welcome to Habits for Humans, the podcast that explores what makes people tick and how to program this brain of ours to do what we actually want it to do. We're going to explore why we can sometimes and in some areas of our lives achieve extraordinary accomplishments, while other times we're addicted to Lay's potato chips and, I don't know, insert your bad habit of choice here. If we want to be healthy and happy, what is the secret to programming our brain to maximize our potential? I'm your host, Kim Flynn, and today we're going to talk about, to Laurel Huston, and we're going to talk about the meaning behind the shape, size, and color of your body and what that means about not just your personality, but what you're put on this planet to do. So I met Laurel years ago, and I mean years ago. It was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I just recently reconnected with her, and I was so delighted because when I met her, I was on this tour of the entire, I think we did 47 cities in one year. And I met her, and when you meet so many people, you usually don't remember individuals. And I remembered her because her message was so interesting. It was, if you have big hands, and I'll let her, tell you this, but I think she said something like, if you have big hands, that means you have big things to do. And I was like, oh, I have big hands. I also have big feet. What does that mean? And so I loved her message of, instead of body shame, actually reading into your body and saying, if there's something about my body I don't like, what if that piece of my body has actual real meaning and is very intentional? And I just love that message. So I'm super, super excited to talk to Laurel today. We have a giveaway for our listeners at the end. We have a giveaway from both our sponsor, Card Salad, as well as Laurel's company. And I'm super excited about her giveaway as well. So stay tuned to the end for that. And a word from our sponsor, Habits for Humans, is brought to you by Card Salad. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold today. Habits for Humans is brought to you by Card Salad, a health and wellness company that teaches you how to program your brain using systems and habits. So you know how everyone wants to eat healthy, but it takes so damn long to meal prep and go grocery shopping, and you never have the right stuff on hand. So you end up eating freezer pizza and chicken nuggets. So what I did is create a product called Eat Well with a done-for-you meal planning system. It comes with a menu board you hang on your fridge, recipe cards that come in the mail, a shopping list that's done for you, and habit cards to develop habits to last a lifetime. Stay tuned until the end of this podcast for a free week of meal planning. So your entire next week could be done for you, planned for you without any time on your end, and delivered to your email inbox. I'm so excited to introduce Laurel to you today. So Laurel Dawn Huston is an award-winning international keynote speaker. She is the creator of body mapping, a technique used to identify markers on our bodies that signify gifts, abilities, and personality traits. She teaches body mapping to empower others to reunite with their divine feminine energy. And do you only work with women? That's an interesting question for you, Laurel, as well. To live a life of tuned in and turned on. Wow. I like the turned on part. So we always start with number one habit to manage your own mental wellness, Laurel. So what's a practice that you do to manage the stress of daily life? And welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So every morning, my personal practice is part of that living tuned in and turned on. And so every morning when I wake up, I think of three things I would love. So anything as simple as I would love an amazing cup of tea with honey, to I would love a vacation, to I would love personal time, to I would love a new shirt. But the reason I do this is because your head is your clock and your heart is your compass. And when you're feeling lost, a clock doesn't really help you, but a compass does. And so, first thing in the morning, when I wake up and I ask myself and I tune into my body, what would I love? Because your heart is in your body, not your head. This is something that really connects me and aligns me. And so every morning, so this morning, I said I would love someone to help me make pies. I have to make 14 by tomorrow. I would love uh, time with my kids, and I would love to take a walk. And these don't necessarily ever have a time frame on them, because when you're working with the universe, you don't always get to dictate how you get what you desire. But when you're very clear and very certain on what it is you desire, it makes it easier to deliver. So that is something I do every morning. And I love what I get from it.
I freaking love that. So in the past, I'd say week, I am getting just message after message after message that in this new phase of my life, and I think for post 2020, it
Mhm.
really changed the world. I think all of us are saying, okay, what do I want in the next phase of my life? I have gotten so many messages that say constantly, it's not about your head this time. It's just like you said. I love that. Your head is your clock. It's not about here's my goal and step by step by step to hit my goal. Something different is at play in my
Mhm.
life, and I think for a lot of other people's as well. And that is, what do I actually want? What do I want to be spending my life energy doing? And if I'm constantly defaulting to the logic and my head, I'm kind of missing joy. And so I think that's so valuable. I love that. The head is the clock, the heart is the compass. All right, let's dive in then, Laurel. You're just going to
Okay.
jump in. I want you to give us your download.
All
Tell
right.
us about our bodies and how they give us meaning.
Perfect. So, first, to answer one of your questions, I do work with men, but because men have a different relationship with their body than women do, it's a very small percentage. And so, I do work with men, teaching them about their divine empowered masculine, but it's not as many people are interested. So, that actually kind of leads right into my personal story with this. And I, like so many women, have had my moments where I've thought, dang, I look good. And oh my gosh, I need to hide. And why are clothes so ugly right now? Blaming it on the clothes or the fashion because we didn't like the hanger that the clothes were being put on, our body. And I remember I had just had my second baby and I was having a sugar binge. So mine is sugar, specifically anything with peanut butter and chocolate. So it was around Halloween time and I had those because, I thought it was a wise idea to buy in September Halloween candy because it would last. And I remember I was pouring a bag of Reese's Pieces in my mouth and saying, "This doesn't even taste good. Why am I doing this?" And my head said, "Because you're disgusting."
Oh, I thought you said your husband said you
No,
because you
my
your head.
head.
Okay, both
Mhm.
are terrible.
No, my husband would never say such a thing. And I thought, oh, so if I don't feel disgusting, then I feel out of alignment. And that's why I keep binging because I had all sorts of programming about the fact that my body was gross or disgusting or wrong or too short or too fat or too whatever. But anytime you tell someone that they have a two, it also means that they're not enough. Because if you're too fat, then you're not skinny enough. So my actions were showing up in a way to say, yeah, well, you don't feel disgusting right now and you are disgusting and so we need to make you feel that way. And it's because I was so disconnected from my body. My body didn't want to feel that way. And so I really went on a very powerful journey and I went the mindset route and I went the spirit set route and I got into health and fitness and all of those things. And I was still very disconnected from my body because instead of working out because I loved my body, I worked out so that I could love my body.
Oh, wow, that's really powerful. Because of working out, because you loved your body, you worked out because you hated your body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so working out was a punishment, not a privilege. It wasn't a joy. It was another to do. It was a task to be done. And it was destroying me. And then I was self sabotaging and doing all of the things that we're told to not do. And I have a degree in psychology and a second degree in human development and communication. And so I started studying body language, and that was very interesting to me. But I'm one of seven children, and we all have the same parents. And some of us look exactly alike, and some of us look nothing alike. And I thought, why do I look the way I look? So I really started to dive into this, and that's where body mapping was created. And the beautiful part about it, it is everywhere from FBI studies in profiling and body language to art to I actually taught anatomy and physiology for a while. And every part of your physiological body has a reason and a specific system and way that it works. But I thought, well, why does it look the way that it looks? A little, I love random facts. Out of all of your DNA code, only 15% of your DNA code actually expresses in your physical being, which means 85% of your code is just stored. So the reason you look the way you look matters. And the beautiful part about it, and one of women's number one problems, is we go into comparison. The fact that I have blue eyes and you have brown eyes does not mean that one of us is more or less beautiful. It has nothing to do with the other person. So body mapping is based on your symmetry and your proportions. And what I mean by that is that my thumb will measure my eye, but I cannot use from the tip of my thumb to my knuckle to accurately measure Kim's eye. And when I try to compare my body to her body, I'm wrong about who she is and I'm wrong about who I am. Your body measures your body. And so it's all based on symmetry and proportions. And when things are in proportion or out of proportion, it tells me a significant gift or ability that you were born with. So do you mind if I use you as an example?
You can always use my body, Laurel. Go for it.
Yes. That's my favorite phrase to have people tell me. Do whatever you want with my body.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use your brown eyes as an example. So the fact that your eyes are brown versus mine are blue, we literally see different details in the world. You have more of a natural filter. One of the physiological things, people with really light eyes, when we walk outside, we sneeze because we don't have the same natural filter. And so we get so much light in our eyes that actually sneezing forces us to close our eyes, while the rods and cones in our eyes can catch up to the light source. And so you view the world with a little bit of a filter. And so in some instances, that's very helpful. But you would not be a good witness because you would miss the details, where people with lighter eyes would view all the details. And so you brought up your hands. So I want to talk about hands. Yes, the larger your hands in proportion to your body. And the way that you would measure your hands, if you do like the hang loose sign where you put your pinky and your thumb out, that measures from your wrist to your elbow pit.
What if it doesn't?
So if you're out of proportion or in proportion, that's what it tells me. And the beautiful thing is, because you're like, oh, I have big hands, except you don't. Your hands are actually small for your body.
They're pretty monstrous.
Well, but how tall are you?
Like 5'7".
Okay, so that makes sense. I'm only 5'4". So if my hand was the same size as yours, that's where the comparison comes in.
Got it.
I actually had a client that had this same thing with her feet because she was 5'10". And she's like, I have such big feet, because she wore like a 9.5 or a 10. And I was like, well, yeah, compared to the average woman, but measure, which your foot is actually the same measurement. It's from your wrist to your elbow pit. And she measured and she looked at me and she said one of my favorite things, which was, Laurel, my body is more perfect than I thought it was. And that's why I love measuring. So with your hands being slightly smaller, what that means is you're very detail oriented. That's why you're so good at systems. You start big projects and then you get lost in the middle. But then when it gets down to the part where all the details start to come into play, that's where you really shine. That's where you really pick up. So you're good at starting and you're good at finishing. It's the in between that things kind of get muddled and a little bit lost. Where with hands, your hands are all about connection and creation. So the other part of body mapping is that when your body gives you a message in the form of a symptom, it's telling you about something you're neglecting. And a lot of people, since we're around holiday season, start to get dry, chapped hands, right? And we think, oh, it's because it's cold outside, which is part of it. If you're dehydrated and you're in frostbite weather, yeah, your skin's going to dry out. But another part of it is when you overwork your ability to create or connect, you're going to holiday party after holiday party after holiday party, and you're just connected out, your hands will start to dry out. And that is your body trying to say, slow down, connect less.
Let me ask you this. We all have body parts, or I assume we all have body parts that we're like, ah, I wish this were smaller. I wish this were a different shape or whatever else, whether it's your thighs or your stomach or your chin or your hands or whatever. What do you tell people about those pieces of our bodies that we would like to change? How do we embrace those by using this philosophy?
Great question. And I've worked with thousands of women, and I can tell you the top three. When it comes to women, it's their belly. Most women have something that they would like to change about their stomach area. Their butt, they have something they want to change about their butt. And their thighs or breasts are kind of a depends on the audience. And to me, your stomach is one of the most beautiful parts of a woman's body because that is your womb. It's your creation center. It's also your center of connection. All the first part of you that's formed in utero is your belly button. And so when you hate your core, there's a really deep message there about hating yourself to the core. So when I tell women, love your belly, not because of its shape or its size or its six pack or its mom pouch or whatever you want to call it, your belly is what connects you to yourself. It's what connects you to your higher power and it connects you to your creations. And so, something to really help women love their belly and to alter some habits is to reflect and ask themselves, why do I feel the need to hold capacity for extra? Because when women's bellies get bigger, it's because it's the part of our body that's the easiest to expand. And when we take on too much or we take on extra stuff, emotionally, mentally, our body goes, oh, you need more capacity? I can help with that. And your belly expands. So for me, my belly is a big indicator of whether or not I am holding true to what's important to me. And when I take on too much stuff that doesn't matter, it shows up in my belly, it shows up in my core. And a lot of women have been told they're too much, they're too loud, they're too obnoxious, they're too opinionated, they're too whatever, which also means that they're not enough. They're not quiet enough. They're not submissive enough. They're not whatever enough. And so a lot of women hide the core of who they are with layers of fat. It makes them unseen. And so, my biggest thing to tell women to learn to love their belly is to realize that you are allowed to be seen, that you are enough as you are, and the world can handle you. Because a lot of people think, oh, I am not safe from the world. And really, it's the opposite of that. We've been told the world needs to be protected from us. The
Hmm.
world can't handle us. We're too much. So we go, oh, I need to hide. I need to play. I need to not be seen for who I really am. And the more true you are to you, the less you hide and the more your body will take on its truest form without the extra protection, without the extra layers.
Really powerful. Um, I would love to hear what's like the behavior or the skill or the mindset that has helped women most in this process. And I don't want to exclude men, help women and men who want to be in touch with their divine masculinity.
Mhm.
What's the skill or the process or the habit that they put into their lives to be able to start stepping into no longer hiding and loving all the parts of us, even our bellies?
Perfect question. So, the first thing is don't look at it as a light switch. You either have to love all of your body or hate all of your body. It's a dimmer. You are made of hundreds of parts and pieces, and you can love your eyes, and you can love your smile, and you can love your shoulders, and you can be learning to like your butt. So, one of the things I tell my clients is pick one part, one piece every day and give it attention. And the
And how would
beautiful
you give it attention? Yeah.
so the beautiful part about that is that all of your body is covered in skin. And so that could be something as simple as getting a really luxurious lotion that you just love the smell of, and you pick your arms. And so you take time and you feel your arms and you appreciate your arms. And you actually look at your arms and say, thank you for connecting me. And thank you for helping me lift things up. And that's all you focus on. One part, one piece at a time.
Okay. So for me, that would probably be my double chin. I'm like, oh man,
Mm,
here it comes. You know, like
mm.
I inherited it from some fabulous parents, from one parent in particular who shall not be named. And so every day I would put like oil on it. You're saying this is what I should do, and
Mhm,
rub it and say thank you
mhm,
for having no purpose except to bother me.
mm.
How
Oh,
do
it
we start
does.
to embrace those pieces of ourselves that that we can't see the joy in? I
Mm.
don't see joy in a double chin. I just don't. How would I overcome that?
So that actually is one of the reasons why I chose the giveaway. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But um, first is understanding and knowing why you're getting it. And you speak a lot, and your
Mhm.
natural chin comes to a point, and so your words have a point. You're very direct, you're very to the point. And there have been cases where you talk to people with cute little Cabbage Patch faces, and they're the exact opposite. They like to talk in circles, they like kid gloves. So when you have someone with a very structured, angled face that's very to the point, speaking with someone who has a lot of circles and softness, they get hurt easily. And so, because you have so many interactions with so many different faces, part of you is like, oh, I need to soften my words. And your body says, we can help with that. So, for you to say, my words are valuable and kind, even when they're direct, my words are powerful and kind, even when they're direct, because your chin is all about your words and how to the point or how roundabout you like to go.
I absolutely love this principle. I think you're touching on something, or I'm getting something from this, and that
Mhm,
is it's not like your body is some magical crystal ball, right? And it's also
mhm,
not about like, oh, how do I change my double chin or how do I get that stomach skinnier? Like that's not the conversation you're having. The conversation
mhm,
you're having is how do you look at your body and appreciate the messages that it is giving you?
mhm,
And that actually would be spot on. That message of like, yeah, you are very to the point, you're very concise, and I'm like, oh man, I just plow over people sometimes completely unintentionally, but I like try to pin them down for for a point, and when they go in circles, I have to constantly tell myself, no, like just listen, you know, that kind of thing.
mhm,
And so it's like it's instead of you saying it's about me changing my body or about me using it as some kind. I don't know what I'm saying here. I think I'm saying I'm doing exactly what you just told me I don't do, which is talk in
mhm.
circles here. But
You're
it's almost
processing.
it's pointing to what is your body showing you about yourself, not to change it, not to modify it necessarily, but just to say, oh, yeah, I do that. I have pointed words and I try to soften them frequently so I don't hurt others. I love that. That's actually a
Mhm,
really good takeaway for me.
mhm. So, to kind of help articulate there, it's not necessarily about, oh, I'm going to stay in this very unhealthy place with my body. It's, I'm going to find my divine blueprint, my divine reflection, because so many people are searching for purpose, but the map is literally written on you. And so now that you know, okay, I'm very blunt and I'm very to the point, and that's not a bad thing. It's not good or bad or right or wrong, it just is. And now I know when I'm speaking to people that have a very soft featured face, I need to count to 3 in between each sentence so that they have time to soak it in. It's a way to, instead of saying, oh, I'm so harsh with my words. No, you're not. Because to someone who has a face just as structured as yours, they value your to the pointness. That's why they're drawn to you. They're like, this is great. She gets straight to the point. That's beautiful. Um, it's more of a one more tool to help you. And the thing is all you have to do is look. And if you see someone with round cheeks, and if I'm going to cut the bottom more of a square chin like this, they are going to be someone who needs softer, slower words. And you'll know because they will speak in softer, slower, more detailed. Oh my goodness, there's a bird. How was your vacation? And you're like, oh my gosh, ask your question.
I love that. Let me ask you this: the critics, I'm sure, are like, well, not all people in a family who have that, a wide nose would have the exact same characteristic. Like these things are passed down through generations, and we all have
Mhm.
different personalities, even though we might look an awfully lot alike. Tell me about that. What would you
Mm.
say to that?
So I'm going to use my own family as an example because yes, we have programming and we have mindset. And the farther that mindset is from our natural blueprint, the more disconnected we feel from who we are. And so I'm going to stick with your chin for an example. So if you grew up in a
Oh, goody!
home
I was hoping you'd
where
keep talking about my double
so
chin.
so if you grew up in a home where your opinion was never asked, where you were silenced for being loud or obnoxious or too bold, you would have had a lot of throat issues, strep throat, tonsillitis, maybe even thyroid issues, because all of your words hold energy and they would have been stuck right here. So when versus the opposite, if opinions were encouraged, if people in your home were good listeners and allowed you to be blunt and to the point, this would stay clear and things would just flow through your throat easily without any type of congestion. So when you are in alignment with your perfect blueprint, with your divine reflection, that's what body mapping is your divine reflection. When you are mirroring who you really are instead of just what you've been trained to be, symptoms, which are messages from your body, don't show up as much.
So
And
you're
so I want to,
overcoming genetics. Is that what you're saying? You're overcoming if a double chin runs strongly in my family,
mhm,
you overcome that? Is that what you're saying?
absolutely, because out of a hundred, and I know you have more than 100, but out of 100 DNA cells, only 15 of them showed up. There's still 85 for you to choose from. So who's to say you got the double chin gene, especially if you already learned to soften your words without getting your body to remind you.
Hmm. Interesting perspective. I so appreciate the message of really tuning in and listening to your body. And it takes us back to the very first thing you said, which is the body, the brain is your clock and the heart is your compass. And it's kind of like I'm hearing this, like the DNA is what's given, but the what's expressed is what you're focusing on and what your, I don't
Mhm.
know, life is trying to tell you. I so appreciate
Yes.
that. Really interesting stuff, Laurel. As we wrap things up, reminder that the goal of this podcast is to program your brain to start instilling systems and habits into your daily life. It's not about what you know, it's about what you do, starting one very small step at a time. And I love, Laurel, that you gave us an actionable step, which is choose that body part that you want to turn the dimmer up or down on and start loving on that piece of you. That's really beautiful to me. And I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to be tonight, like rubbing oil on my chin and saying, I love you, baby. I love that. I actually am. I'm not just joking around. All right. So you have a product or service. Sorry, you have a free body map with
I do.
declarations. Will you tell us all about this?
Yes, and it goes right along with what we were saying. That's actually why I chose it because people are going to hear this and they'll go, "Where do I start?" So, in the link below, if you click on that free body map, you will get a PDF, and it has all the meanings of the different body parts. So, like hands are connections, shoulders are responsibilities, and then it actually gives you a declaration to help you reprogram the way that you think and feel about that part of your body. So you don't even have to come up with the words on your own. If you are inspired to say certain things to your chin, that's great. But you could just say, "My words matter. Thank you so much, chin. My words matter, and I know my words matter." And so in the morning, I literally will just kind of run my finger up and down the list and then pick one, just randomly stop, and that's what I focus on for that day. Or I actually have cards now, and so I'll draw a card, and that's the part or piece of my body I work on that day, but the words are already there. So I take 30 seconds and I read and I pick that part of my body and I show it love and I show it appreciation, and then I go about my day.
I love that. And I love that your message is not how to fix that part of your body. That's not the message. The message is
Mm,
how do you read your body and listen to it to figure out what your body's trying to tell you. I love that so
yeah.
much. So definitely want to encourage everyone to get that free download. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, we will have it in the show notes. Also, if you're on habitsforhumans.com listening or watching this, it'll also be in the show notes. So make sure and check out that free download. And if you can't access those show notes for some reason, I want to give it to you also. It's Reflections Inside and Out event.com. So reflections inside and out event.com / free body map with two P's. Is that right, Laurel? Two P's on the map? Just for kicks. We're throwing an extra P on there. All right, Laurel, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So interesting.
Yeah.
Um, in our next episode, we are going to explore sustainability and long time, lifelong habits versus the quick fix. And Sunny is going to talk to us about how we choose slow progress over quick progress. And so stay tuned for that. So thank you for joining us, Laurel, and thanks to our listeners. This is Habits for Humans, the podcast that teaches you how to program your brain to maximize your potential. And thank you in advance, everyone, for giving us a positive review. Thank you.